how we make decisions with limited resources. Okay, in simple words. Okay, remember, here on this planet Earth, resources are limited. Some can finish, all right, and they cannot be used forever. So we have to find out how we can use these resources to benefit us and satisfy our human needs and wants. Okay, so that's a simple definition, because I'm going to be just using simple definitions. I don't like textbooks definitions. I like layman's definitions, so you get the concept. Okay, so now in economics there are three big questions we need to ask: what to produce, for whom should we produce, for whom should we produce for, and how to produce. Okay, just remember what, whom, how. Okay, these are the three questions that economics is trying to answer, because remember, resources are limited. Okay, yes. So I'm going to introduce you now to what we call is the production possibility frontier curve. This curve is going to show us four important economic concepts. Okay, four important economic concepts. So this graph's called the production possibility frontier curve. Okay, what this curve is showing us is just the combination of goods or services that can be produced when we utilize resources efficiently. Okay, that's what this curve is showing us. Okay, combination of goods or services that we can produce when we utilize our resources efficiently. Okay, so this curve looks like this. Okay, so before I start illustrating how we analyze this curve, I want to show the four economic concepts that are shown in this curve. All right, so concept number one: efficiency. Okay, we've heard this word a lot, efficiency. What efficiency means is you are not wasting resources. Okay, minimizing the waste of resources, or basically you are not wasting resources. Okay, that's one way you can look at it. Okay, one other way you can look at efficiency is getting the most output with the least input. Okay, I can give an example to illustrate this. For example, if there are two companies, all right, one company, both of them are producing chairs. One company, it takes them 5 minutes to produce a chair. Another company, it takes them 3 hours to produce a chair. We were going to say the company that takes 5 minutes to produce a chair is being efficient. What resource are they utilizing well? Time. Okay, so that's what efficiency is about. So any point that is along this red line here, okay, let's say we've got point A, we've got point B, and let's say we have point C. All these points along this red line show that we are utilizing resources efficiently. Okay, that's what is illustrated here. Any point that's on the red line, resources are being utilized efficiently. Okay, so for example, if we are producing two goods, maybe let's say producing copper and wood. Okay, so any points on this red line are showing that we're utilizing our resources well to produce both copper and wood. At some points, we're only here at point A, we're only producing copper, but we're still utilizing resources efficiently. And at point C, we're only producing wood. Okay, but at point B, we're producing both of them, copper and wood. If we had another point, maybe let's say this point, let me just put it as X. Also this point is showing the combination of copper and wood that we're producing. Alright, so as I said, the first concept is efficiency, how well we are utilizing resources. Each network is bad, people are being kicked out. Okay, anyway, it's still being recorded. Any questions so far before I go to the next concept? Okay, the next concept is, oh, and one more thing before I go to the next. If you have a point within this production possibility frontier curve, like here, let's say point D, you're not utilizing resources efficiently, you are being inefficient. Okay, so any point below the line, you are being inefficient. Kindly mute your mic. Yes, any point below the line, we are being inefficient, we are wasting resources. Okay. The second concept is scarcity. Okay. Resources are not unlimited, basically. Okay. They can finish, they can be used up. Okay. So when you say something is scarce, it means it's something that can finish. Okay. So due to scarcity, that's why we cannot go beyond this red line here. Could you mute your mic? Could you mute your mic? Could you mute your mic? Okay. Yeah, so I was on scarcity. Alright, resources are not limited. Okay, there can be a shortage of supply. There can be a shortage or that resource can finish. Okay, so because of scarcity, that's why our maximum limit is this red line. We can't go beyond this red line. Okay, we do not have all the resources that we need. We cannot acquire all of them, they are scarce. So we can't go beyond this red line here. Okay, so any point that is beyond the red line, like let's say point, let me call this point in, we cannot achieve it with the resources we have. All right, so we can say it's unattainable, okay, due to scarcity. So if you see any point beyond the red line, that point is unattainable, okay, because you do not have all the resources you need. That's why it's called a frontier. This is the red line is the frontier. That's the maximum you can go. Can't go beyond that. Yes. Then the second concept that we have to learn from this production possibility frontier curve is trade-offs. Okay, where you exchange one thing for another. Okay, so if we look at this graph here, right, the trade-off is between copper and wood. Okay, if you want to produce more wood, you have to trade it with copper. If you want to produce more copper, you have to trade off the wood. You have to exchange, basically. That's what the trade-off is, where you exchange one thing for another. And then the final concept is opportunity costs. Think of it as the cost of the trade-off. Another way to think of it is the cost of what you give up whenever you make a choice. Alright? The cost of what you give up whenever you make a choice. For example, let's say somebody, they've got two choices. They can either go for work or they can go to university. Alright, so here the trade-off is work or university. Okay. So if you choose to go to university, your opportunity cost will be the money you would have been receiving from the work as your salary, the opportunities of a promotion that you could have got, the connections you would have got at that workplace. Alright. If you choose to work instead of university, the opportunity cost is the degree, the better job that you would have got, also the social connections you would have made. All right, yes. So whenever you make a choice, there's always something you give up. It's not always money. No, it can be something of value that you give up. Okay, so economics is all about choices. So when you weigh your options between university and work, if you see that the giving up that degree is a bigger opportunity cost, you choose to go to university because you don't want to lose that opportunity. If you see the salary that you would have been getting from work is a bigger opportunity cost to lose, then you say, okay, now I would rather go to work because the opportunity cost is greater. Okay, so whenever you're making a choice, you're making a choice where the opportunity cost is greater because you do not want to miss out on that opportunity. Any questions before I go further? Okay, so let me illustrate how we can calculate opportunity costs with this production possibility frontier curve. Okay, let's say we are starting here at point A. Okay, at point A we said the only thing we're producing is copper. Okay, so we're producing 30 units of copper and 0 units of wood here at point A. Okay, point A, we say 30 copper and 0 wood. Okay, now we're moving from point A to point B. Okay, we'll say this country, we'll say this is the PPF graph of a certain country. Okay, so this country says no, we don't want to only produce copper, we also want to also produce wood. All right, so in order to produce wood you have to give up some copper. Okay, you have to give up some copper. Okay, so you have traded off copper for wood. Okay, so let's say from 30 units we go down to 26 units of wood. Okay, and then here I'm going to say maybe we'll move from 0 to 20. Okay, so at point B here we're producing 26 units of copper, and 20 units of wood. So 26 copper. Please don't mind my handwriting. I'm a scientist, so I write like a doctor. 26 copper, 20 wood. Okay, so here I want to find out what was the opportunity cost. What was given up in order to produce more wood? So you look at this graph on the copper axis here. Okay, we went from 30 units to 26 units. Okay, so we gave up 30 minus 26, we gave up 4 units of copper. Okay, we gave up 4 units of copper. That's why I moved down from 30 to 26 in order to gain 20 units of wood. Have you seen for wood we moved from 0 to 20. Okay, so the opportunity cost is 4 units of wood. Any questions? Okay, one more illustration. If we move from point B to point C, at point C we're producing 0 copper to produce, let's say, 30 units of wood. To produce 30 units of wood. So we see what is our opportunity cost here. From 26 down to 0, we've given up now 26 units of copper in order to gain from 20 to 30, 30 minus 10, in order to gain 10 units of wood. Okay, I've given up 26 copper in order to gain 10 units of wood. So opportunity cost is this 26 copper we have given. So colleagues, that's how this PPF graph shows these four economic concepts. Alright, efficiency, you are not wasting resources. Scarcities, resources are not unlimited, they are limited, okay? Meaning they can run out basically. Trade-off, where you exchange one good for another. Okay, then opportunity cost, the cost of a trade-off.